you're just wondering, what are they saying? Well, if you knew sign language, you would. And I think you should. I think everyone should learn sign language. I think it should be taught as a baby, in elementary school, as a second language. I was raised to deaf parents, and that's why I've known sign language my whole life. And knowing sign language has really given me a gift: sign language. It has really enriched my life in so many ways, and I fully believe that if everyone learned sign language, that we could all really enjoy the gems of knowing sign language and what that has to offer. Here I am with my deaf mom, and that's how I learned how to sign. I was 8 months old when I was signing. That's right. 8 months old, I had communication going both ways. You had to wait until you're about a year and a half years old because you couldn't physically produce the sounds. But deaf people knew this for centuries. They were signing with their babies, and they would, from 6, 8, or 10 months old, they would sign back. The hearing community nowadays had said, wait a minute, why do I have to wait till my baby's a year and a half or 2 years old before we can communicate? So nowadays, many hearing parents and teachers are using sign language to communicate with their children so they don't have to wait till they're talking. You're thinking, 6 months old, that's pretty young. But think of that child that you've seen that goes like this. What are they saying? They're saying, I want to come to you. And that's something that they've learned. Every time you said, come, can I pick you up? You do that over and over again. That's basically what signing with children is about. And you just take that one step further, and you learn a handful of signs, and you use that throughout the day. And then they'll pick it up, just like they picked up waving, because that's what they do, right? Around 10 months old, a child can wave. It's also something that they've learned. What I'd like to do is take you through the lifespan of one person and show you in the many different ways how sign language can enhance your life and how it can enhance a community as a whole. This is Micah, my son, and he's signing the sign for boat. Let's see what your life would have been like if you knew sign language as a baby. So you're maybe 10 months old, and you are pointing to the fruit bowl, and you sign the sign apple. Your parents can just take the apple and give that apple to you. Because what usually happens, you point to the fruit bowl, and your mom's like, do you want the banana? Do you want the cucumber? You're kind of like constantly going until you figure out which one it is. With sign language, you just do the sign, and they can give you exactly what you want. And for parents, you really get to know what your child wants and is thinking. And that's the beauty of using sign language at such a young age.
Wat is dat? Wat is dat? Varkenen. En wat is dat dan?
Geit.
Geit? Ja, goed zo. Wat doet het geit?
Spelen is zo leuk, speel je met me mee. Want spelen is het allerleukst, zeker met z'n twee. Spelen met mijn knuffelbeer, lezen in een boek. Spelen met mijn allermooiste pop. Spelen, dat is top.
Just a short example of how you can just playfully use sign language with little ones, but you also saw elementary old age kids. They also love signing. And I was just at an elementary school the other day, and I had 5 to 7-year-olds bombard me with, what's a sign for apple? And what's a sign for more? What's a sign for cake? And they were eating it up. They could speak fully, but they are, to this day, from I heard from the teacher, still signing every week. There's also, as a benefit of knowing both a spoken language and sign language, is that I can pick in whichever situation I want to use either a spoken language or sign language. In some cases, it's even great to use both spoken and sign language, and that's what I'm also advocating for. We already know that 93% of communication is nonverbal, so why not take advantage of it? So now picture you're in elementary school, and you're going to learn about the water cycle of precipitation. You can learn this in words. So your teacher would say, you know, we have the water cycle. How does that work? You have bodies of water in the earth, and then that then will evaporate, and then it condenses, and then it precipitates back, and it returns to the bodies of water. Or you can use some signs. You can say, you have a body of water, and then it evaporates, and then it condenses, and then it precipitates, and returns back to the body of water. If you use both spoken language and the signs, a little bit more refined than our everyday gestures, then you really see that you can be much more clear. The other beauty of sign language for me is it is really poetry in motion. Sign language has some unique aspects. For example, you can do a close-up, you can do a long shot, you can do different characters. You can also do slow motion. Maybe you're in the car, the landscape is just going by. Or you're in the train, and it's going by really fast. When you tell a story, you can say it with words, but if you add all these little gestures to it, makes it that much more interesting. I have an example for you. So as they say, French is a language of love, but sign language is a language of storytelling. Now you say that may all be well and good. You can use it for certain times in your life, but I think you can also use it practically every day. I can't think of one industry where signing would not be handy. For example, you have the music industry, where you maybe need to be quiet on set, or you have to wear earplugs. In construction, where it's very loud. You also have meetings every day where you maybe just want to ask a simple little question, but it's too disruptive to use to talk. There are many days in your life where you really want to ask a question or say something, but it's just too disruptive. Or maybe you work at a hospital. It'd be much nicer for the patients if you could just talk to your colleagues and not disturb the patients. Another example is over long distances. A sign, I can sign to people all the way up there and they'd be able to see me. But if everyone is here talking and doing their own thing, I'd be quite disruptive if I had to yell to them. And that happens way more than you think in a day. And let's say you're at a club, and you see a beautiful girl, and you want to talk to her. You go up to her, and it's super loud. What do you end up doing? Hi, my name is... You can't really get your groove going, but if you knew some sign language, doesn't matter, it's super loud, you can keep signing, and you can have a conversation, and you can try and score a date. And then she has to go home, and you're at the train station. She's in the train, and you're on the platform. Again, if you don't know sign language, you're kind of like this. Bye, bye, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. What I do all the time with anyone that I know that's deaf or knows sign language, I'm still carrying on a full-on conversation until the train is literally taken off. So there's small and big times in your life when this happens. My time is up, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker. My last big point that I really want to share with you is that even though we have a deaf community, every single country has a deaf community. And so the way we can do this is teach sign language in all elementary schools or high schools. And you can learn this as a young child, and then you can apply this to your everyday lives. And the last thing that I want to say is that there are many people that are elderly that are also quite isolated. And if you knew some sign language your whole life, then you'd be able to sign. And what happens? It comes full circle. Grandpa can sign with their grandchild, and everyone is using sign language the whole day long. Am I done? Hey, Mom is working. She said, Mama's all done? Yeah? Okay. Well, as you see, I gotta go.
you.